Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Hifiman Arya Stealth Magnet Edition, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Hifiman for sending over the Arya for review. Do greatly appreciate it. Hifiman, you rock. Alright, so the Arya Stealth Magnets. They come in a pretty standard unboxing experience, which I'm not going to show. They are listed with a frequency response of 8 Hz to 65 kilohertz, and they are 32 ohms, 94 decibels of sensitivity, and they weigh 404 grams. You do get a 1/4 inch cable with no adapter, and it connects with 3.5 millimeters. I do kind of wish that Hifiman would include an XLR cable. So the stealth magnets, what is that? Well, basically it is a change to the structure of the magnets. It rounds off the edges, and that is supposedly to help avoid unwanted reflections and distortions that can occur inside the cups of the headphones. Does it work? All right, so the power requirements. The amplifier of choice that I used was a Headamp GSX Mini, but it does run off of the Drop 1 Linear and also a Sauvage A10H. I found that that was able to power it. And the Tor Audio Roger, when I used the 1 amp as the preamp, it worked just fine. So I used the Mytek Liberty DAC as the DAC of choice. It also did run off of the headphone out of the Mytek, and it worked fine. All of those amplifiers mentioned were able to drive the Arya okay and adequately. In fact, the little Sauvage really surprised me. But anyways, the Arya is somewhat hard to drive, so it is a little bit amp picky, but I did not have any problems with my amps on site. I do not have an original Arya to compare the Stealth Magnets to, but I did review that one. There is a link down below so that you can check that out, see that review. Going off of memory, I'll try to make a few comparisons. A couple things that did stand out about the original were the insanely, massively huge, wide, deep, detailed soundstage. It was craziness how immersive and engaging it was. The bass had really good dynamics and slam, and that the treble was a little bit intense, and it was somewhat harsh and grainy, and the intensity of presentation of the original Arya was kind of fatiguing. All right, so the Stealth Magnets. How does that sound? The Stealth Magnets are an exceptionally good headphone. I truly enjoy them. Bass on them is fantastic. It's a linear approach to things, and it has a very nice, well-controlled, very detailed, extremely good resolving presentation. Everything about it just speaks of information. This thing is crazy at the amount of details provided and how well it resolves it. And it also does it in a very speedy, correct, accurate way. It's just insanely good. And then on top of that, it puts in some fantastic punch and slam to it and gets some little bit of rumble down deep. I love the bass on this. This is some good bass right here. Then going into the mids are very nicely controlled. They have a good balance to them. They're slightly elevated in the upper mids, but overall I just find them to be well controlled and just have a very good depth to them, nice airiness to them, very good isolation and separation of instruments. Everything just sounds proper, and you're easily able to diagnose the stage, and you're able to dissect it and say, okay, that's over here, that's over there, and everything just kind of flows and works cohesively together. I really do enjoy the mids. They have a very nice approach to the way they present things. It just sounds proper. And then on to the treble. The treble is well controlled. It does not have that issue of being peaky and intense like the originals. And it is not as harsh and grainy up top. Everything has the proper amounts, in my opinion. It is slightly elevated and a little bit borderline of being too much, but it doesn't cross that line. And to me, it just has this airy approach to things. Speaking of airiness, in my opinion, the Arya Stealth is a little too light in note weight and density. Everything's a little too floaty, a little I wish that I had a little bit more weight to it, a little bit more density to things. It just doesn't quite sound natural. And then also the tone and timbre is a little bit metallic. It's not quite as metallic as it was on the originals, but to me it's still just enough to be present and noticeable. And I wish that I had a little bit more natural tone and timbre. Soundstage wise, this thing is spectacular. It's pretty darn near close to the width of the originals. It may not be quite there, but it's still really, really far out there. This is by far a very wide headphone, and it's also a very deep headphone. It's got very good depth, very good layering, excellent imaging. Everything about it just is immersive and engaging, and it's just wow factor. This has got a spectacular soundstage. If you are a fan of soundstages, you will love the Arya Stealth or the original. And I'm just so impressed by the soundstage on this. This is craziness. Is it the most accurately natural? No. It's too wide. It's too stretched. But wow, is it fantastic. If you love hearing every single little detail, every single little thing going around, this is it. This is the one for you. Comparing it to the headphones that are behind me, the Hifiman Ananda. The Hifiman Ananda is not as good detailed and not as good resolving. The Arya does do it a little bit better. I mean, we're not talking a massively big difference here, but it is better in that regard. Where I find that the Ananda actually outshines the Arya Stealth and the original is with tone and timbre. I believe that the Ananda has a little bit more natural tone and timbre. Also, it has a more accurate soundstage with depth and layering. Things sound more proper in size. With the Ananda, it's not as stretched and not as huge and as immersive as the Arya can be. Even though the Arya is more fun and engaging sounding, the Ananda is more accurate and true. Moving on over to the LCDX. The LCDX, in my opinion, is more made for the studio, whereas the Arya is more made for just sitting back and enjoying and being wowed. The LCDX has a more neutral approach to things, does have some elevation in the treble, which gives it some sparkle and energy. Does not have quite as big of a soundstage as the Arya, but in my opinion is more accurate and true, especially with imaging and with the preciseness and being able to dissect the stage. It is more pinpoint. And then moving over to the Rawson Rad Zero. The Rawson Rad Zero is more neutral than even the LCDX. It does not have quite as much elevation in the treble, and it is more accurate tone and timbre wise over all of them. In my opinion, the Rawson Rad Zero is the true studio headphone. LCDX follows it very closely, and then the Ananda and the Arya are more for the chilled back, relaxed listening. You're gonna get all the details and all the information, but they're not true studio headphone. So I really do enjoy the Hifiman Arya. This thing is special. This thing is awesome, and I truly do enjoy it, and I really love it. I like to be able to just pop it on my head, put in some music, and just close my eyes and just float away. This thing just takes me to a different place. It's just so engaging and so fun. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next videos, somewhere on the screen is subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and also check out the links down below for information regarding the reviews of the other headphones that were mentioned in this review, and also where you can purchase the Arya Stealth editions, and also for information regarding how I rank headphones and IEMs. There's a tier list down below. Also for terms and definitions that I use during a review, how you can support the channel, all kinds of good things down there. This has been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching. Remember to enjoy the music, and honesty is the best policy.